Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesdays with Trailblazers, brought to you by TechEdge AI, the video podcast where we bring you the latest trends and insights in AI and technology. I'm your host, Sadesh, and today we'll be talking to Mathias Golombek, CTO at Exasol, whose goal is to encourage responsibility and a company culture where people love to be a part of. So, without further ado, let's welcome Mathias. Hey, Mathias, how are you doing today?
Very good. Thanks, Siddhish. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Likewise, Matthias. Well, let's just jump right in. You've got great industry experience, and I'd love to know a bit more about your professional journey, the key lessons you've learned along the way.
Sure. I'm CTO of Exasol and started there actually 20 years ago. So I'm feeling like a grandfather in the data. Directly after university as a software developer, and then grew into head of R&D, head of engineering. And meanwhile, now I'm Vorstand, which is a German role in the board, and CTO of the company. And yeah, what I've learned is like the data market, the analytics market always been very exciting, and there's ever changing technology. So for CTO, it's like heaven on earth to play in with. And what I've also learned is that technology is only one piece of the puzzle. I think we have created a very amazing technology. Exasol has created an analytics database based on a memory computing MPP. So for a technologist, it's very exciting. But at the same time, technology is just you know, something which you have to turn into a use case. So I'm also always very impressed about what customers are doing with our technology. And so that is something I'm really enjoying a lot.
Perfect. Now, jumping right into data infrastructure, let's talk about it. How does using a reliable, no compromise analytics database empower organizations?
I mean, you typically situation at large organizations. If you look at the data stack, if you look at business intelligence, AI, what you hear in most cases, there is a lot of constraints. There's a lot of hassle. There's a lot of challenges. And we just did a survey in our Exasol 2024 AI and analytics report, and 79% of people claim that new business analysis requirements take too long to be implemented by their data team. So it's all about limitations, things take too long. There is, restrictions of people getting access to systems. So I think, on the contrast, if you have the right technology, which is scalable, which is fast enough, which can provide you the right power, like Exasol does, you can change the way companies are working with data. So that's how you can leverage our technology, is like being a game changer, so that you can relax and you can concentrate on the use cases rather than the technology constraints. If I talk about constraints, that's like in several dimensions. One is simply the latency. You ask a question, you want to become data driven, you want to create a decision based on data, and it takes too long. It takes too long to process the data. The latency is very often a problem. Real-time data is not available. And then you need to knock on the door on the data teams, and it takes months to create new dashboards. So that's where Exasol comes in with our in-memory database. We have a product called Espresso, which is, the name is like also the promise. Instead of waiting for a long time, you simply speed things up, and you fix them the problems of, for instance, a spinning wheel problem in your BI tool, waiting for a dashboard being loaded for sometimes minutes or even longer. Secondly, Exasol can provide you the full flexibility. So for companies, we have several deployment options. So we come from on-premise hardware, but we also support the cloud for many years, nearly 10 years now. And we also have a fully managed SaaS service. So you as a company have the full flexibility from, where you want to run your system, not a vendor login, not a big cloud vendor login. And that's, I think, the key story of Exasol, like that kind of boost for whatever you want to do with data.
Perfect. But if I get this correct, Matthias, data leadership isn't all about technology. And so, how do you possibly address challenges like culture and buy-in within an organization?
I mean, I can give you the example of Exasol because as a CTO, we have seen a lot of challenges of change. The market has changed, the company has changed. There's not one company. And if you want to introduce new things like a data-driven culture, I think it's it's pretty much about how you as a leadership ingrain your goal into the company. You have to be a role model. You have
Mm-hmm.
to create mechanisms. You have to live by example. You have to articulate your core principles or core values and then live by that. I think that's very important, and that's the only chance that you can translate that across the organizations. Otherwise, it will always be stuck by certain individuals or a lack of processes. And think what also helped at Exasol, if you want to do decisions, if you want to take the people behind you, it's important to be empathetic. It is important to be rational, reasonable. And what we've done in the last years is simply writing down decisions. The decision process is very collaborative at Exasol.
Mm-hmm.
Is very data driven. So that these documents we create for deciding certain things are then shared, so people can understand what the thinking is from the leadership. And I think that's a key to bring change and fostering a certain culture into a company.
Perfect. That looks like a great approach. I really like the aspect that you use Exasol's example out here. So moving ahead, I just want to understand how can data leaders like yourself help an organization transform into possibly a truly data centric one.
Yeah, so that's even more difficult because there is a lot of reluctance. There is,
Mm-hmm.
there's the data teams, there is the list of ambassadors in your company who love data, but then there is many people who are even working against that because they don't want to replace, they don't understand, and there's no data literacy. So I think you have to tackle the thing from various angles. As you mentioned, technology is just maybe 20% of becoming data driven. It is important, but it's only a small portion of the equation. It can be a
Mm-hmm.
driver, of course, if it's like scalable, if it's delivering what you expect. But then, what is even more important is the culture, the data culture. So I think it's important to write down your data strategy, explain it why. It is important to have the right leadership, the right
Mm-hmm.
team, the department. So, for instance, a CDO or CDAO is very important, so that data and the data team and the data stack becomes an essential piece of the strategy of a company. And then I believe what is important is bringing the right people,
Mm-hmm.
fostering the skill set and the culture. It is about upskilling people. And then I think what I'm hearing from many customers, one of the most important drivers is data storytelling. So keep
Mm-hmm.
on explaining what you have achieved with data, what it helped you, what kind of impact it created. And then from there, it will be like a snowball, there avalanche of success of applications because people will become curious. They want to adopt the same thing. They want to also be part of that story.
Well, that's really insightful, Matthias. Now, I'd like to shift gears a bit out here. Talk about the latest buzzword, that's AI. What do you believe are some of the biggest challenges organizations face when deploying AI at scale?
I think AI, I mean, everybody is now talking about AI. There's no different topic. I remember like 10 years ago about the big data wave,
Mm-hmm.
everybody wanting to have Hadoop systems and it's replacing
True.
the whole data stacks. I think AI is really a transformation we are currently going through. It's like the internet wave in the late 90s, where it
Mm-hmm.
was a transformational game changer for the industry, for all industries actually. And I think AI is something similar, but at the same time, if you ask people, there's not much understanding what AI is all about. So we
Mm-hmm.
hear the new shiny OpenAI chatbot thing, where people with ChatGPT they help on the daily basis become more efficient of accessing information, of facilitating their daily work. But then there is so much more potential underlying with the new LLMs, the large language models, and the new technology which are out there. The hardware development over the years is like exciting. Nvidia shares going through the roof, right? So coming back to an initial question is like the challenges is at the very beginning is like skill set. So you
Mm-hmm.
need the right people who can translate all these technology trends and the capabilities, the opportunities into business opportunities. And that's not, it's said easier than done. I think
Mm-hmm.
if you look at AI use cases today, the typical applications which are already in place is like, as I said, knowledge access,
Mm-hmm.
providing access throughout your company to, for instance, your intranet instead of searching. That's like the Google search before. Now with a dynamic chatbot, you can ask questions and you get answers which are so much more comprehensive than anything else you could achieve before, collecting like information from many places.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is, of course, the automation within customer services, where you also leverage knowledge bases, knowledge articles of your past to make customer service more efficient. And then, of course, there's the software industry where I'm also being a part of, and
True.
AI can help you a lot with creating software code, software
Mm-hmm.
tests, and software documentation. So it's also very efficient and exciting. But then, what is the real asset, the real vision in a couple of years, maybe in 3 to 5 years? It is merging the traditional business intelligence world together with that new era of AI technology. So these LLMs are based on text, on unstructured data
Mm-hmm.
or semi-structured data. So you can ask a question to that text, might be the internet text, all the information which is written down somewhere. And then
Mm-hmm.
organizations have to combine that with the power of their structured data in a data warehouse or in data lakes or across many business systems in your organization. And I think that is the amazing opportunity lying in front of us, merging these two worlds together.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a lot of challenges. That's why the majority of AI projects, if you look at organizations, are failing simply
Mm-hmm.
because data quality is not good enough or the business maturity is not good enough. So I think we are just at the very beginning, at the starting point an amazing journey regarding AI.
Perfect. Well, I guess all those points seem real valid, right? So, and there are endless use cases and opportunities in which we can leverage AI for. Now, finally, how do you possibly think organizations could leverage AI to actually improve their data analytics?
So I think there you have to distinguish between two parts. One is like what I explained before is like bringing these two worlds together, be it through the NLP, so translating the natural language. You ask a
Mm-hmm.
question to your data instead of running a complex query, or you create a dashboard in your BI tool. You can now ask a question: give me the best customers of, or the customers who are most probable to churn in the next 3 months because of whatever. And then that will be translated into a query against your data set. It's not easy to set that up, but I think that's the future. It will create that data democratization everybody's dreaming of, where people can have access to these data assets and can ask questions that couldn't do that before. And it will also transform the speed of asking new questions. As I
Mm-hmm.
explained before, that kind of process of creating new BI dashboards is like cumbersome and takes weeks to months until you see something. And I think with these technologies, that is like the leapfrog where you can really become agile, not just in asking questions, but creating new questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I think you can combine these two worlds by bringing the AI into the world of the structured data. So, which means, so Exasol, for instance, has created we call the product AI Lab. And what you can do is you can actually run machine learning models directly inside the database, which means you bring AI algorithms, machine learning models directly where the structured data is already sitting. Typically, you offload that data, put it into a model, and then you do that on a separate system. So combining these two worlds, as I said before, is very strong. You can do RAG, retrieval augmented generation, to leverage to augment these LLMs by structured data, by queries against structured data, because right now the
Mm-hmm.
LLMs like OpenAI's, GPTs, they are quite limited because they have been trained on these text data, and you can't train that model with hundreds of terabytes or petabytes of structured data warehouse data, which means you have to
Mm-hmm.
combine the two worlds, and you can do that by running structured queries, providing the information, and then put that as a context into the LLM, and then augment the answers of your questions by bringing these two things together. Then there is a whole notion in AI which is not really new. I mean, there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of buzz now, but for the last 10 years, there's many data scientists having worked on more traditional, smaller machine learning models that are very
Mm-hmm.
specialized, trained in their own on their own training data to predict churn, forecast demand, detect fraud. All these applications are very strong. That's also AI. And then, of course, there is that dimension where you can apply AI for the work of a data engineer. So making sure data quality is automated, outlier detection is one example, or data transformations are done more efficiently. The data modeling can be supported by AI processes. And then finally, of course, query tuning. So we have also a very smart optimizer. So you can apply certain algorithms to optimize the query execution in BI systems. So there's many, I think, improvements which you can apply for data analytics and becoming a little bit closer to that vision I explained before, like instead of traditional business intelligence, get better insights, cheaper, deeper, faster, more scalable across combining BI and AI.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for those wonderful insights, Matthias. I mean, those were wonderful insights, honestly. Really enjoyed hosting you on our podcast Tuesdays with Trailblazers. And thank you all of us. Thank you all of you guys for joining in today. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. Until next time, stay tuned with TechEdge AI for more insights into all things AI and technology. Till we meet again, signing off, your host, Sadesh.